I hope you've been having a wonderful, wonderful week. And even if not, that's okay too. I have been having a pretty good week, actually. I've been catching up because if you listened to last week's super secret episode, you know that my laptop has been broken and my desktop PC. How fortunate am I to have both a Mac and a PC, and how unfortunate that they were both broken at the same time. And so what I did is, because I will never, this is crazy how I'm committing myself to doing this. I intend, and I think I might succeed, in always releasing a podcast every week, if not forever, at least until the next great thing comes along. So anyway, there's no way in heck that we don't say bad words in this part of the garden, do we? So I was praying to heck, what was I saying? That the things would get fixed in time, and they didn't get fixed. So I said there's no way in heck that I'm not going to release a podcast for my little bunny. Of course I won't. So I grabbed an old handheld recorder that I have. By the way, sorry for that little pop sound. I'll explain why you're hearing that in a second. So I grabbed this handheld recorder and I just kind of rambled. I didn't have any way to edit it. Edit specifically meaning like cutting out and trying to say stuff better. If I stumbled on my words or if I had to go cough or something like that. Like you'll notice I'm going to the side of the microphone and I'm pausing. I basically had no way to professionally produce the episode. So I was just like, okay, I'm going to just be the most real me for my little bunny. Upload it. I couldn't even figure out how to turn it off at the end. Not because I'm old, because the technology is old and poorly designed. Because it was an old piece of technology. And so like even at the end, there's me fumbling, trying to turn the thing off. And I had no way of cutting that out either. So it was just a pure me rambling into the microphone. And I thought it was going to be the worst episode ever. And I even said in the episode that I'm going to replace it and it'll be disappeared and replaced secretly with a fully produced episode where I cut out all my coughing and my yawning. By the way, I'm going to yawn a lot. In fact, right now, I'm going to take a sip of water and I'm not going to cut it out. And why am I taking such a rambling approach right now? Well, it's because I heard from multiple little bunnies that it was actually like the best one they'd heard. So I guess that's a theme of the garden. It just gets more and more honest and more real as time goes on. So yeah, I think I'm just going to ramble. I had a whole bunch of notes. I prepare a lot for every podcast, and I will still prepare a lot because I want to tell you things that I have well thought through. I don't want to just like let diarrhea come out of my mouth and whatever you get is what you get. Sorry for that horrible imagery. I'll switch it for some good imagery in the future. But see, that's an example of something I would have gone back and cut out. I would have thought of a better way to say that. But I'm just going to kind of ramble. And it's still going to be very valuable, deliberate lessons that I want to get across. But the level of real is one step higher now. We'll see if this works. We'll see if it doesn't. I don't know. So there's going to be pauses if you let me pause. It's not a professional piece of radio anymore, I guess. And that, in some ways, is kind of the appeal, don't you think? And Maybe this is the new way of the podcast. I don't know. You'll have to tell me. But I'm still going to start with a quote, and I'll always end with a poem that I write just for you. That's not changing. But what is changing about the quote is that for the past several episodes, maybe even the past 10 or so, what would happen is I would know exactly what I want to say to you. And then I would spend like 30 minutes minimum hunting around the internet for a good quote, because I don't want to give you a garbage quote. I want to give you something that has a lot of depth and is from someone whom I perhaps respect. I guess I don't endorse the people that I quote. But basically what was happening is that I was just fishing for something that was as similar as possible to what I already wanted to tell you. So, at the risk of being a conceited bastard, I guess we can say that word, I'm just going to quote myself. So, maybe you'll see these in the future, blowing up your social media feeds where you see this quote, and it'll have a beach in the background and a sunset, and it'll say, at the end it'll say like dash Lindy's garden. So so I wrote you a quote, and then I wrote you a poem too. So here's the quote for this week. Okay, here we go. The difference between the life you're living. Oh God darn it, I messed it up. Okay, I'm not even going to cut that out because that's endearing, isn't it? Okay, here we go. Try again. This is so much more fun too. This is easier to make, actually, as long as I can get to the end of this episode with some kind of coherence. Okay, I'm all giggly. All right, you're giggly too. That's part of the fun. See, you didn't think you'd be smiling so much, did you? Oh, how did I know? Can I see you? No, I can't see you. I can feel you, little bunny, and I understand you very, very well. Okay, here's your quote. I'm not going to be able to do this without laughing. Oh my God. I tried to record this episode for so long because I don't have any sound privacy I'm recording this in my fancy recording studio, which is my desk in my bedroom. Because the city I live in, we all live in very tiny spaces, and it's very, very expensive. So until I can make millions of dollars from the garden, I record in my bedroom. And this is becoming a very boring story. So, all right, fun has been killed. Here's the quote. The difference between the life where you're thriving and the life where you're languishing is as simple as just that very first step. What does that mean, little bunny? I'll read it again. The difference between the life where you're thriving and the life where you're languishing, the difference is as simple as just that very first step. So what does languishing mean? Do you know what I mean by that? You know what thriving means. That's where you're engaged in your life. Maybe you're not happy all the time. You're not walking around with a huge grin on your face. But you're challenged in ways that make you feel alive. And even if you don't like your alarm going off in the morning, there is a general feeling that being awake is better than being asleep. That's a life where you're thriving. And a life where you're languishing is kind of the opposite. You don't have this inspiration that you're glad to be alive. It's not quite a depression necessarily. But imagine you're a sailor out on the open seas and you're in the middle of the ocean and the wind has stopped blowing. And you're in a sailboat and you don't have your fancy motor. And so you're just sitting there waiting for the wind to blow. And you're waiting, and the wind's not coming. And you wonder if anything's going to come and take you out of this. Languishing is this state of you're not where you want to be in life. And maybe you feel this way right now. I think there's probably a very good chance of that. And I certainly had a period where I was languishing to the maximum, little bunny. And I've made it to a place where I'm truly, truly thriving. So this quote has a little bit of me in it, but let's get back to practical stuff. Okay, let's make this about you. Okay, one more time. The difference between the life where you're thriving and the life where you're languishing is as simple as that very first step. Okay, right now, little bunny. Right now, today, in this podcast, I'm going to challenge you to do something. There's a couple challenges in here. And you're going to have to decide if you're up for the challenge, little bunny. Up for the challenges. And depending on what you choose, whether you rise to the challenge or you just kind of play it safe and go back to whatever you would normally be doing, this is going to change where you are 1 year from now. Exactly 1 year from now. So I want you to take your phone and pull out your calendar app right now, unless you're driving, in which case, do it later. And you're going to go exactly 1 year from today. Not the day that this episode releases, the day right now that you're listening to it for the first time. I don't care if this is 10 years after this podcast releases. Make an event. Today's date, 1 year in the future. And the event is email Lindy. A jolt of nervous energy, is it? You're like, oh no, how do I get out of this dare? I want out. I want to go back to my safe life of languishing where I'm waiting for the wind to come and take me away and lead me to that awesome port city where there's like the fun nightclubs and stuff. I don't know. I'm clearly not a sailor. Okay, email Lindy. And in this email, you're going to tell me how your life is different on that day from your life in this moment right now as you're listening to me. So how do you want your life to be different 1 year from now? This is really one of the challenging questions for a lot of people. I'm fortunate in that I tend to know pretty clearly what I want to do, but I'm very much in the minority here. By the way, you want to know what that popping sound is? That is a sound that I have been cutting out of the podcast since the very beginning because I have like a little bit of facial hair that gets caught in the pop screen of my microphone, which is like this little mesh. It's like a sock kind of for the microphone. It's not quite a sock, but it's a little piece of mesh because I have a very cheap one. And the hair on my face grabs the hair on my chin, grabs the pop screen and smacks it into the microphone. It goes like, bah. And I'm going to try to just let it go and let it happen because I'm realizing how important just honesty is. And by the way, now I can hear the TV going on in the next room because I don't have a recording studio yet. So we got to grow the Lindy empire so that I can afford a nice, large apartment with its own recording studio, which is going to happen. It's just a matter of how quickly we get there. Isn't that right, little bunny? Okay, do your part, like, subscribe, share, and all that stuff. Okay, your life 1 year from now. What does it look like? I'm not big on like setting goals, but it'll be useful for just a moment. Is it a job that you want to get out of? Now, it's not necessarily that you want to leave a job, but it's that you want to be further in your career in the direction that you want. Are you working a job right now where it's good enough for the moment, but you want to be in either a different field or you want growth? I really want you to have a job. If you are going the route of having a job, I want you to have growth available to you in this career. So maybe you want to learn how to do graphic design, or maybe you want to learn how to code. These are both very, very great careers, and I'm just picking two random ones. You could pick something like horse breeding or something. You could pick any kind of career that interests you, that has a lot of growth in it. And there's nothing wrong with having a job right now that's just kind of keeping you going. But this podcast episode is about growth and getting you out of this state of languishing. And it doesn't take a year to get out of the state. What it takes is for you to find that wind and to start going. Do you remember the quote? The difference between the life where you're thriving and the life where you're languishing is as simple as just the very first step. This email you're going to send me, right now you're trying to figure out what it is. What is this life where you're thriving 1 year from now? And if you're not sure, does it have to do with your career? Does it have to do with finding friends? Does it have to do with taking care of your body? Are you doing bad things to your body, little bunny? Are you, whatever it is that, the way you figure it out, little bunny, what this thing is that you're going to build towards, that you're going to tell me 1 year from now. I want you to imagine right now what it would feel like to make me proud with your email. What pops to your mind? Whatever struggles you have in your life right now. Could be internal, could be external, could be family, could be lack of family, could be friends, could be lack of friends. Maybe this thing that you're going to tell me that's going to make me proud. Maybe it's that you sought help. I think you know by now whether you need help. And you might feel like a burden. You might feel like you're inconveniencing other people with your problems. You might feel like you're not worth the help. Well, you're a zero inconvenience to me, little bunny. Literally, you listening to this right now. This was an episode that I made a couple weeks ago. Literally, you're making my life better by listening to this podcast. Not only are you not a burden, you're actively making my life better in multiple ways. And you can listen to that podcast if that's a confusing statement. You're not a burden to me. I love you very, very much. So I want you to get better. Okay, so you're going to do it for me, if not for anyone else. Even if not for you, don't get better for you, even get better for me, little bunny. And what is the first step in that scenario? It's a text message. Not to me. I can't help you there. It's a text message to your parents, to a sibling who's older than you, maybe an aunt and uncle. Maybe it's to a counselor at school. And honestly, if you're old enough, you can make an appointment yourself. I would recommend, I don't want to recommend too much stuff, but I'm a fan of psychiatrists personally. And I think medication is a wonderful thing. But that's a whole episode unto itself. So that's a first step, is to ask for help. Just a text message. That's an easy way to ask for help, little bunny. And if it's a career one, you want to tell me, you want me to be proud of you for the fact that you started not just a job you like, but it has a forward trajectory and there's growth where there's going to be challenges that engage you. And even if you're not happy in your job, it's okay. That's kind of most jobs, honestly. You can have jobs that aren't fun, that are still really good for you. Not just in terms of a salary, but that the challenges bring you life and you feel like you're thriving, even if you're not necessarily happy in every moment. What is the first step for that, little bunny? Well, YouTube. You want to learn graphic design, get off TikTok. Or actually, you can stay on TikTok. Just like search for graphic design and then like all the videos so that the algorithm gets to know you. And then sends you all this stuff. And then all you can do is, actually, that's pretty good. You can just swipe on TikTok. Maybe make like a second TikTok account that's like good for you stuff. So for me, it's music theory stuff, because I don't know nearly as much music theory as I should. So I'm making sure to train the algorithms that way. Anyway, enough about me. Okay, and if you really, really don't know what your first step is, I want you, little bunny. You're going to make a first step, by the way. There's no way around this. You can't be like, I don't know what my first step is. I'm not going to do anything. Nope. Not happening. You don't know what your first step is, little bunny. You're going to clean your room. Your room is just a manifestation of your mind. My room's a little bit messy right now. I have a hammer on my desk. Why is there a hammer on my desk? I don't need a hammer on my desk right now. There's all kinds of other stuff that I need to clean and move. My desk isn't messy, but it's like, you know what? Here's the deal. I'm going to cut you a deal. As soon as I finish this podcast, if you do as well, which you will, I will clean my desk. And you will clean your room. The rest of my room is pretty in good shape, so kind of the same, equal things. Now I feel it. I don't want to clean my desk, little bunny. Why did you get me into this? You're so mean. Maybe you're bad for me. Or maybe you're good for me. Stop making my life better. This is not fair. I'm supposed to be the one making your life better. Oh, I have a present. Oh my God. Okay, we're going to add a little mystery element to this podcast. I am picking something up off of my desk, which I ordered like 2 months ago. It was a very niche purchase from Amazon for like $1. And it had to come from, the dwarves on the other side of the earth or something. And it relates to a TikTok that I made where I asked you a question, and I'm looking at something that you will see in a TikTok hopefully soon. That's what I need to be freaking doing, little bunnies. I need to be making more TikToks. Maybe once I clean my desk, I'll be able to get my crap together and make some more TikToks. Oh, little bunny, How's this ramble format working? I hope it's doing okay. It's fun to get the real me. It's always the real me, you understand, right? But there's like a spectrum of real me. And on one end, I guess, is my fiction. And that's quite literally not the real me. Although I am a character in the story. It's quite literally fictional me. And then there's like the playful TikToks where I'm playing a part. And then I guess this is the ultimate opposite end of the spectrum, where I'm literally just me. And it feels good. And it takes some skills to do it. And I'm constantly trying to get better and better so that I can be better for you. Is there anything else I want to say? In my notes, I also had a challenge for you to send me an email tomorrow to kind of commit yourself to this. And I think I'm going to extend that dare to you, that challenge. But the one tomorrow can be pretty easy. Send me an email tomorrow that says, I will email you 1 year from now and you will be proud. That's it. In fact, maybe do it right now, honestly. I don't want to, let me pause. I don't want to compel you to do anything. I want you to have your own agency of your life and everything. But I would like to challenge you, and you can do it now. I want to be careful not to tell you to do anything, of course. But I challenge you. Send me an email, perhaps right now. It's Lindy@lindysgarden.com or daddy@lindysgarden.com, whichever you prefer. Goes to the same place. And I want you to say, what did I say? Maybe you have to rewind. I'm going to try again. I can't even remember. Jesus. Okay. Oh man, it's so late. This is fun. Oh my God, my computer just went to sleep. Okay. This is fun, isn't it? This is almost like a slumber party or something. I don't know. 1 year from now, I will send you another email and you will be proud. Send. And if the email doesn't go through, please let me know and send me a screenshot of the email address you tried to send it to. And send me the screenshot of the email that kicks back and says it couldn't send. Because that has happened to a couple people. And you can send me that screenshot on Instagram, although understand that I may not reply. So that's fine. Okay, I guess we should wrap it up, shouldn't we? I've got announcements, and then I have a great poem for you. So, announcements, I should look at my notes for this one. This is way more fun to record, this style of podcast. I hope it's fun. I think a great light bulb moment is just that you like hanging out with me. I'm nice to hang out with, aren't I? And guess what? These podcasts are going to be longer. And that is relevant to one of the announcements. So, okay, here's the announcements. I'm going to read it script-like. You ready? This is what you're going to get less of. I can't even do it. I'm so in it's called contemporaneous speaking. Contemporaneous is like contemporary. It means you're making it up in the moment. So here's me not making it up in the moment, pretending like I'm making it up in the moment. Okay, ready? First up, you'll notice that there aren't any ads on the podcast. At least at the time. I can't even do it anymore. I feel like we've entered a new era of the podcast. Oh, not me getting all teary and choked up. This is fun. Honestly, I want to just have fun and make your life better. That's the life where I'm thriving. I'm just going to make up the announcements. Let's make it up. Okay. I feel like this is either the best or the worst podcast I've ever done. I have no idea. Okay. The length of the podcast. So I actually said this in last week's podcast too, but I'll say it here too. I'm going to yawn into the microphone. Oh, I just lost the yawn. Okay. Yeah, so Lindy Empire, make me millions of dollars so I can buy a nice large New York City apartment. Because we all live in apartments here. Do you hear that motorcycle going by? That's the stuff that maybe you don't hear it because I have fancy denoise stuff in my software. But yeah, I would love to have a nice apartment that's large enough to have a dedicated room to recording. And the way that we do that is multiple streams of income, one of which is a sponsor for the podcast. And I got my first offer for a podcast sponsor. It's a good amount of money too, honestly. And I was going to say yes, and I was like, "Hey, get ready for the ads in the podcast." But then when I was going through, I was reading the stuff, and I was going to hit accept. I was like, "Hold on 1 second," and 1 second. I couldn't control where they put the ads. So they were going to choose where to put the ads, and they're going to pick some random spot in the middle of the freaking episode where I'm trying to have a special moment with my little bunny. And do you think that I'm the kind of person who's going to let some advertisement butt into my time with my little bunny? I don't care how much money they give me. That's just not going to happen. So I'm going to hold off a little longer. We got to grow the podcast bigger until I can get a sponsor where I get to say, I'd like to just put it at the beginning of the episode and then leave it at that. Or I will design a spot in the middle where we can take a break. We listen to the sponsor. I'm not going to have someone interrupt me. Don't be ridiculous. Okay. So no sponsor yet. However, if you want me to get that recording studio in the nice New York City apartment, then, because this would be one that I buy. Not many people get to buy apartments in New York City. I would buy one. I would trick it out with all kinds of wonderful renovations. Anyway, you got to help me grow the podcast bigger. It's growing a lot, which is wonderful, but we got to grow. And the best way that you can grow everything, honestly, is by, right now, TikTok is basically where everybody finds me. So whenever a video pops up on my For You page, I know you already watched it all the way through. I know you always like it. That's wonderful. What you don't always do, what you should do, is you should leave a comment and then share it. I have been told that you can just hit copy link and it counts as share. I don't know. Find someone who also likes the garden and just share it with that person every single time and have them do the same thing back to you. Because comments and shares really skyrocket those videos to go viral. You wouldn't believe it. Just having a really high like rate and having a really high watch rate, because it tracks if you watch it all the way through. That's not enough to make you go viral. What really has to happen to make you go viral is that the comment sections have to blow up and the shares have to blow up. And invariably, the TikToks that go viral of mine are those ones. So every single time, leave a comment. And if you don't know what to say, just say, "I loved last week's podcast episode!" ! And I'll probably reply and be like, "Hey, thanks. This is us scheming to grow the garden." Okay. What other announcements? The next episode of Love and Literature premieres this Sunday, October 23rd. That is my erotic fiction audiobook. That is intended for an 18 plus audience, especially the first episode. That one turned out pretty dark, didn't it? But it's okay. It gets better. This episode is super 18 plus. So, your brain's got to be in a certain place in your development before you can enjoy that. But it's fun. It's no longer dark. It's just crazy. So what we do is we have a release watch party on YouTube. It's all on YouTube. And you just hang out with me in the chat room, because the way the premiere works is we all gather At the same time, there's this countdown timer. It's very dramatic. And we just chat while the episode plays, and it's a lot of fun if you actually like the series, which a lot of people do. People absolutely love it. So anyway, that's this Sunday. It's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern time zone, US. If you don't know what that means in your time zone, just go to Google or something and just type 3 p.m. New York City to, and then your own city, like New Delhi or something. Okay. And then I'll also post on Instagram about that. Oh my God, it's so late, little bunny. This is going to be a long episode too. Okay, what else? I guess that's it. Oh, some good news. I'm looking at my notes now. On TikTok. So the story of TikTok is that I got banned, actually. And I appealed it because it was ridiculous that they banned me. But the algorithms are just violent and vicious as all heck. And so I appealed it and I got it restored 24 hours later, but they had this warning. I'm sure you know about this warning. That's just says account warning. Everywhere you go, it's like account warning. You're a single thread away from being permanently banned again. And so I played it super, super safe. And I'm still going to play it very safe because TikTok rules the world on social media. And but the warning has finally disappeared after months. So I'm resting a little bit easier now that I'm not going to get banned, hopefully. But you never know. So if you're not subscribed to the podcast, subscribe to the podcast, little bunny. Subscribe to Instagram too. I don't want some bot to take you away from me. That would be infuriating. Okay. That's everything. Let's read you this poem. And so I always like to say, and I'll slow us back down, and I'll read for you the poem I wrote for you today. Your daddy is pretty lazy. He'd rather relax than work. 'Cause when he relaxes, he gets to be lazy, and that's quite the pretty perk. And the laziest thing is to simply keep going, to simply coast on momentum, to not bother with slowing. It's work to slow down, since my life is in motion. To simply change nothing is the more relaxing notion. If I just change nothing and therefore keep walking, then I'll therefore keep writing and I'll therefore keep talking. Because once, years ago, I took that first step. And if you'd checked back in later, you'd have thought that I leapt. But leaping's too much work. It's a lot of work to grow. Much better to take it easy, much better to just walk slow. So how is it that I'm productive and make so much content? Isn't that work hard? Isn't the stress constant? Kind of, little bunny. I wish I could do more. I wish I could work harder for my little bunnies that I adore. To make more videos, and to make more love notes, to make more merch, like funny hats and book totes. So fine, I'll step up my game, and take one new step briskly, and I'll make you more content if you take this step with me. Have a great week, little bunny. Go clean your room. I will clean my desk right after this. After I go listen to this entire podcast through a second time, because I do a lot of work for you, little bunny. Got to make sure it's all professional, even though I'm just kind of rambling into a microphone now. We'll see if this is the new permanent. I don't know. But I got to get back to work for you, little bunny. I work work for you all the time, and I got to work more and more and more. But it's fun work. Honestly, I'm thriving. I'm absolutely thriving. We're going to get you thriving too. Okay. I love you lots. Go have fun. Go clean your room. Go send the email to me tomorrow. Go send the text message. Go do whatever you need to do. And I can't wait to hear your email 1 year from now. That makes me proud. Okay, bye.